Hey guys, it's Ben, and for the first time ever, in this video, I'm presenting two brand new puzzles. The binary cubes. These are two variations on the classic 3x3 cube that implement unique and interesting turning restrictions. Let's take a closer look. I'll start off with this one, the binary deep cube. The binary deep cube is a 3x3 variation based on Oscar van Deventer's enabler cube, and in fact, it uses pretty much the same mechanism. We have a special corner piece right here, which a layer must contain in order to be able to turn. So for example, I can turn this right layer here, and I can turn this front layer here, but I cannot turn the layers that do not contain this corner piece. They are bandaged. However, you'll also notice something extra with this puzzle. Two opposite centerpieces have been X'd out like this, indicating that that axis is completely locked. Therefore, this top layer and this bottom layer can never turn at all. They will always be bandaged and do not allow any moves. Doing this reduces the puzzle to the RFLB subgroup, which means only these four layers can ever possibly turn on the puzzle, as you can see. And it will scramble in a similar sort of way. The binary name in this puzzle is based on the fact that given any starting position, regardless of what it might be, there are only two layers that you can actually turn at any given time, which is due to the fact that this corner piece only allows its three adjacent touching layers to turn, and there's always one of those layers that is going to be on that locked out axis and cannot turn at all. So this leaves only two available layers to turn at any time, like a binary choice. Furthermore, after you make one move on the puzzle, there is only one other layer that you can then move next, which makes the turning on this puzzle highly restrictive. So in essence, by moving this corner piece around the puzzle like this, we can then fully scramble it. This particular copy of the puzzle came out really fantastic. It turns extremely well, it's almost speed cube quality, and if you handed this to me and told me it was just a regular cube without any of the markings on it, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It turns extremely well, and there is even some corner cutting too. In this design, I was able to make actually all of the center pieces on the puzzle identical, and allow all of them to screw in the core to give a spring tension. The core itself is actually what is blocking these two centers in particular from turning, and that means that there are fewer differently shaped parts than would be normally required, so that was quite nice in the design. Now, the enabler cube is already challenging enough to solve, so I can imagine this one will be even harder. Great, so now with the binary deep cube out of the way, let's now move on to the next puzzle, the binary fused cube. The binary fused cube is similar to a 3x3 fused cube, as the name suggests. We have a 2x2x2 Petrus block around this corner piece that is bandaged together, which leaves only three theoretically free layers to turn. However, you'll also notice that the centerpieces have a window that has been cut out in each of them. Two of these don't really look super special, but there is one where you can actually see there is an X labeled inside of it. This indicates that the layer is not allowed to turn and is bandaged as before. But if we start turning some of the other free layers, something very interesting happens. The X actually follows the layer that we turn, and it moves around to other centerpieces. Now that I've done an arm prime move here and turned this layer once in a quarter turn, this centerpiece now has the X label inside of it, and now it's this center that is blocked. And now the top center is free to turn, as you can see here. Continuously doing these moves will move the X around the puzzle and cause the blocking of the centerpieces to change with each turn you make. Now, the reasoning for the binary name in this puzzle is that given any free layer that you turn, by doing a quarter turn it will flip which of the other two centerpieces has the X in it and gets blocked, and which one doesn't, like a binary switch. Also, just as before, after you make one turn of any layer, there is only one other layer that is going to be free and available to turn. And again, the restriction on the turning is very similar in feel. Now, while this puzzle does look quite nice, and the implementation is quite good, unfortunately, it didn't come out quite as good in quality. As you can see, the puzzle is a little bit loose, and there are some issues with the X lagging behind the layer that we turn here. As you can see, it's kind of lagging there, and then there it is. But the actual mechanism to prevent the turns from being allowed on the X layers and to allow the X to move around the puzzle does work correctly, and I am quite pleased with that in and of itself. The really interesting part about this puzzle's mechanism is essentially this puzzle contains both the core and the anti-core. That is, there is a piece that moves with every single layer that you turn, that's the X piece inside, and there's a piece that moves with none of the layers that you turn, in this case, this bandaged corner block. The mechanism that I've used here to achieve this in the puzzle, I'm pretty sure is virtually brand new, and it'll be really exciting to explore where this can be taken in the future. Now, as you can imagine, the turning restrictions in these puzzles make them very challenging to solve. As I've said, you are very limited in the types of moves that you can make, and you are basically forced into turning only one other layer as your next move, and that's the case on both of these puzzles. And so, regular algorithms and commutators really can't be used for most of the solve, and so these will be very challenging. Be sure to watch my in-depth analysis video on both of these puzzles, the link to that is in the description, as I go into more detail on how, amazingly, these two puzzles that initially seem to be very different are in fact very intrinsically related to each other, with some pretty cool properties, so definitely check that out. These puzzles were designed in SolidWorks and 3D printed from iMaterialize in their polyamide material, dyed black with Dharma True Black dye, and stickered with stickers provided again by Chewy's Custom Stickers. Once again, they're fantastic. Now, quite unfortunately, these puzzles aren't going to be able to be made available to purchase on iMaterialize for some time. There is a tolerance issue that I need to fix with the binary deep cube centerpieces, and this binary fused cube here needs a little bit of a redesign before it can really be a truly well-working puzzle. Further, I don't even know when I'll be able to get around to that. If these do become available though, I will definitely announce it. And with that, those are the binary cubes. I hope you like both of these puzzles, and of course, thanks for watching.